Welcome back my fellow Spartans to the Triple S Variety channel. I'm your host Triple S, and in this video I'll be breaking down and reviewing the 8th and final episode of the 2nd season of the Halo TV show titled Halo. Now let's begin. Point number 1, Jesus Christ, what kind of scientist is Miranda? Looking at ancient alien spores that have just woken up whilst wearing zero protective gear. Look at how the scientists handle the MEV-1 in the movie Contagion. Look at how Dr. Jenner handles the zombie virus in The Walking Dead. Look at how Professor Pertwee handles examining an infected corpse in The Last of Us. All of them are wearing protective gear, whereas Miranda just isn't. Plus, anyone can come and go from the examination room as they please, and there's no decontamination airlock. It's no surprise whatsoever that the flood managed to spread so easily and as fast as it did throughout this episode. Point number 2, pretty dumb of Parangosky to talk to Chief over loudspeaker. I mean, did she really expect him to just roll over and play along? Of course he was going to be antagonistic towards her and make her look bad in front of everyone else in the room. Point number 3, I wonder if this is what infection forms are going to look like in this timeline, or if this is just what they look like as babies and they will eventually grow into the full-size ones we're used to seeing in the games. Point number 4, we finally see grunts this season, and there's only 2 and they're in shadow. I will say this season has been a step down in showing us the Covenant races, whereas last season we saw the Hierarchs, many grunts, jackals, elites, and brutes, and even a brief glimpse of a hunter. This season we've only seen primarily elites and jackals, 1 brute, and now 2 grunts. Point number 5, what a genius idea from the crew of the Himalaya to fly directly under the assault carrier, making themselves an easy target for its glassing beam. Point number 6, God, yes, Kai using a carbine and Talia dual wielding needlers Halo 2 style. You absolutely love to see it. Point number 7, I find it so creepy this take on the flood that those infected just freeze in place as the virus takes over their body. And I've also seen, as I'm sure you all have too, people complaining that this show has just made the flood into basic boring zombies, or they're just ripping off The Last of Us, or some other nonsense. Ignoring the fact that we've already seen this kind of zombification in the Blue timeline before, in the motion comic of the short story The Mona Lisa from Halo Evolutions, we explicitly see those infected eventually become more like the combat forms we see in the games by sprouting extra appendages. Point number 8, where are the other Covenant ships that were chasing after McKee and the Arbiter? Did they just give up after the escape pod launched and return to the fight with the UNSC ships? Point number 9, Cortana transferring herself into Chief's suit is actually a new concept for both timelines. In the Blue timeline, she doesn't inhabit Chief's suit, but is stored in the data chip plugged into his helmet. She just uses his suit as a conduit to transfer herself to external systems. Now it appears the only way Chief can lose Cortana is if she transfers herself to an external system and he doesn't retrieve her, like at the end of Halo 2, or if Chief once again loses access to his suit while she's inside of it. Point number 10.
It's the perfect fusion of artificial intelligence and organic life.
Does that mean every living thing on the ring is pseudo-biological, like how the Huragok, the engineers, are artificially created biological life forms? Point number 11, once again another reference to the Halo Infinite teaser trailer released in 2018. This show really likes referencing that shot from the teaser trailer, doesn't it? Point number 12.
John, why are we here?
It's one of life's great mysteries, isn't it? Why are we here?
Point number 13, has Kai seriously just been standing on the bridge of this Covenant ship this whole time, watching the space battle play out and deciding to do absolutely nothing until now? I mean, it's been 10 whole minutes since we last saw her. Does that time accurately translate into the show? Why did she just wait so long before seeing if she could fly the ship? Point number 14, goddamn, everyone on Onyx is exceptionally oblivious to everyone else around them to the point that it took until those infected were ready to attack before anyone even noticed there was something wrong with them. Point number 15, I'm pretty sure there's no way Parangosky survives this, but the silver debrief for this episode on the Halo Waypoint website is vague on whether she lives or dies. Just saying. Before departing, she witnesses Parangosky being held down by the infected. I've seen people speculating as well that Parangosky might stand in for Blue timeline keys in being the basis for a proto-gravemind, and she'll have to be properly killed before she can divulge any vital information about humanity and Earth to the Flood. Point number 16, I've also seen a lot of speculation on the mother appearing to Quan and the conversation they have with each other. One theory is that she is a vision from a gravemind or the primordial, as she says,
I knew you'd find me. We knew you would deliver us.
She led Quan to where the specimen container was so that the Flood would be released, and that she also has some control over the Flood since she stops them from attacking Quan. She also says,
It is the cohesion, the meaning, the final equilibrium.
Cohesion and equilibrium accurately describes the flood with the definitions, the action or fact of forming a united whole, and a state in which opposing forces or influences are balanced. If the flood infects everything, they will be a united, balanced whole. But describing the flood as being the meaning is very interesting. Looking at synonyms and similar words for meaning from Merriam-Webster.com, we see words such as purpose, intention, ambition, dream, hope, words with too positive a connotation to apply to the flood. However, you then have words such as thing, end, scheme, more negative words that would be used by someone who is a part of the flood but is not an ally of the flood. And the Silver Debrief confirms this in a description of the conversation between Kwan and the mother. Kwan asks who she is, and the mother reveals that she was like Kwan, a protector, a very long time ago, but she was consumed by the parasite within which her consciousness lives on. And this just leaves us with so many questions. What exactly is a protector? How is Kwan descended from them? What connection did the living mother have with them? Why is this dead protector appearing to Kwan in the form of the mother, considering the living version of the mother didn't interact with Kwan, but with Chief? Was the living mother and those who followed her and stayed behind with her on Sanctuary actually real, or just a vision appearing to everyone? How is this dead protector able to exert some control over the flood? My theories range from the dead protector being a precursor who didn't want the flood to spread throughout the galaxy. This would explain why it both refers to itself as the flood, we knew you would deliver us, but also as being separate from the flood. It knows you, Kwan, since if you've read the Foreigner trilogy, you know that precursors and the flood are one and the same. Or they could instead be an ancient human who existed at the same time as the Foreigners and the flood, and so is actually a direct ancestor of Kwan's from around 100,000 years ago and has been a part of the flood ever since. Or they could be a Forerunner in a similar role to life workers in that they dealt with protecting life, more specifically in this case the life of planets themselves rather than the species which live on them, which would fall under the duties of the life workers. And via a Foreigner Gesh and through psychic visions, this role of protector has been transferred from Foreigners to humans and then passed down for thousands of years. What are your theories on the mother, the role of protector, and how this all connects to the flood? Let me know in the comments. Point number 17, it's a neat touch the splash of plasma from the energy source burns a mark into Chief's armor that looks similar to the damage he has on it in Halo 3. It isn't the exact same though, as it is on the wrong side. Point number 18, I guess the Arbiter threw away his sword just like this elite also did on Sanctuary out of honor since Chief wasn't holding a weapon, but then gets so mad Chief isn't dead and won't stop fighting, he throws honor out of the window and starts using his sword again. Point number 19, I am so glad they didn't forget that they introduced Chief having the grapple shot at the start of the season, and we get to actually see him use it in his fight against the Arbiter, sort of Halo Infinite style, but rather than pulling himself towards the Arbiter, he pulls the Arbiter towards him. Point number 20, so from what I've been able to gather by going frame by frame, Chief seems to have himself a The Last Jedi disappearing knife situation happen to him here. At first it appears after Gatanai cuts the grapple shot, Chief grabs his knife, but he actually doesn't. You can still see it holstered when Chief punches Gatanai in the throat. But then it appears when they both start rolling around on the ground, Chief's knife just vanishes without him ever pulling it out. Strange. Point number 21, I love the contrast here with the Arbiter and characters like Lewis and Riz. They learned how to continue on living when they could no longer fight, but for the Arbiter, being a soldier and fighting was all he had, and so now, as he sees it, his life is no longer worth living, as he can no longer fight nor be a soldier. Point number 22, you better damn hope you don't have any infection forms on that ship, like that one that crawled out of Janine's mouth and then seemingly vanished. Point number 23, oh yeah, your mum's safe in cryo, but what are you going to do now, Miranda? Hope the flood won't find a way to break through the glass while you wait for rescue, slowly dying of starvation and thirst. Point number 24, we see Kai floating in space. Is she alive or dead? Well, the Silver Debrief says, taking the Corvette's controls, Kai pilots the Covenant ship on a collision course, sacrificing herself. So make of that what you will. Point number 25, I love how at the end of the first episode we see Var Gatanai and his fleet ascending through clouds to take Water Reach, and here at the end of this episode we see Chief and the human fleet descending through clouds to bring war to the Halo, just like McKee says,
wherever you go, war will follow.
Point number 26, so it turns out throughout this episode Chief has been talking to a monitor. The Silver Debrief doesn't name the monitor, but it does reveal in its Core Connections section, at the end of the episode we learned that the Master Chief was conversing with an alien entity on the Halo ring, the monitor. this being previously appeared as the Wisp of the Well back in Season 1 when Quan underwent her strange vision quest with the Mist People on Madrigal. Yes, you read and heard that right, this monitor is the same one Quan saw in the well on Madrigal in her vision quest in Season 1. Considering the monitor echoes Quan's description of the monster from the end of Episode 1,
It's been here all that time, waiting to meet you in the dark.
It's been down there all this time, waiting to meet you in the dark.
the monitor is most likely referring to the Flood. But specifically, what aspect of the Flood? A Gravemind, the Primordial, or just the Flood in general? Considering why would there be a Gravemind on the ring? The only reason there was one on Installation 05 in Halo 2 was because of a prior outbreak. Could that be the case on this ring as well? Or is it possible that just like how the Primordial was held captive within a time-locked precursor stasis capsule whilst still being able to converse with those outside of its prison, that there could be an imprisoned Gravemind on the ring that was being tested on by the Forerunners? Point number 27, how long has it actually been since Chief followed McKee into the structure, considering Chief's armor has changed between then and this conversation with the monitor? His knife has reappeared, the burn marks from the plasma that splashed onto his chest have disappeared, and the crack on one side of his visor has been replaced with a hole on the other side through which you can see his face. Plus it also appears his armor is either spattered with blood or possibly flood gloop. To round all this off, my most disliked part of the episode goes to how completely and utterly oblivious everyone is in the Onyx base that some people are looking and acting very weird. And my most liked part of the episode goes to how they managed to make the Flood even more creepier than they already were by introducing the whole freezing thing and baby infection forms crawling out of their mouths. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Triple S Variety channel, and I really do mean thank you. Thank you for choosing to watch my videos, to leave comments and to subscribe. It's really amazing to know that there are people who do actually enjoy watching my videos and enjoy listening to me speak. Even though Halo Season 2 has ended, I do hope you can stick around and check out my future videos, whether that be me playing video games, opening Yu-Gi-Oh cards, talking about other TV shows and movies. I know I will definitely be covering Fallout Season 1 and House of the Dragon Season 2, or just random videos on random topics I randomly decide to talk about. Before you go, why not leave a comment below pointing out anything I missed but you noticed in this episode? I would love to hear from you all. I've been Triple S, you've all been amazing, and I shall see you all in the next video.